The Lonely Lighthouse, a steadfast guide through stormy seas. These windswept and isolated towers have long captured our collective imagination. But lighthouses also shaped our economic backbone. Linda Dianto, executive director of the National Lighthouse Museum, explains.
George Washington actually, in his Lighthouses Act of 1789, created the need for more lighthouses. He had to build more lighthouses. He felt that to build the economy of the United States, at that time it wasn't the United States, but to build that economy, you needed to build more lighthouses to allow the ships to get into harbor.
The museum in St. George, Staten Island represents a piece of history itself. It's located on the former site of the U.S. Lighthouse Service General Depot, a worldwide testing ground for wicks and fuels and supply distribution center for lighthouses from 1864 to 1939. Inside, you will find all things lighthouse, from equipment and a detailed timeline to remarkable stories of individual lighthouse keepers, like Kate Walker of Robbins Reef Lighthouse, who took over after her husband became ill and asked her to mind the light.
So he got sick and her son rode him to Staten Island, to the shores here, to the hospital. And as he was leaving, I think he knew he had pneumonia and he knew he wouldn't be back. So he said, "Kate, mind the light." And he never returned. She stayed with the light. Her children grew up there, and the day her husband died, she went back to work. Kate also saved a lot of people too. She saved a whole bunch of people, and she also saved a little dog. So when ships went, there were people, they were caught on the rocks, they had to get them off the boats and into the lighthouse. So she always kept a pot of tea, hot water to make tea on, because she never knew who was going to land at her doorstep in the middle of the water.
The museum also features Willis Augustus Hodges, an abolitionist and the first African-American lighthouse keeper at Cape Henry Lighthouse. You'll also see dozens of model lighthouses and a section that explains how the light itself evolved with what's known as the Fresnel lens.
It made a big change because now you could beam that light further. Okay, you were able to see it from a longer distance, so captains of ships were able to see that they're heading to land. So it's not only about crashing, but it's also you're heading in the right direction.
And while we associate light with electricity, early lighthouse keepers didn't have that luxury.
And in the beginning, they used whale oil. Now, whale oil was expensive, but it also burned black. So at the end of a night with whale oil, you had all these lenses here, all these little pieces of glass, prisms, were all covered in black soot. So the job of a light keeper was to clean that soot off. So he had a little kit that he would haul to the top of the lighthouse, and he'd have to wipe down every prism every morning to be ready for the night.
The museum is now in the midst of an effort to expand its footprint, a plan to keep the light on for future generations.
We're saving history here. Without lighthouses, we couldn't have built the trade that we did worldwide. It wouldn't have happened.